Session is very, very important because the phase in which we are entering is very crucial for the 2025, even for the prelims also, right? So we need to understand what kind of strategy which we need to follow and how the steps you have to basically consider while preparing the notes, while answer writing, for revision, for everything. Okay, so there are a lot of important things which I'll be discussing today with examples. I will also discuss how basically you have to make the strategy according to your own preparation, right? So before I proceed, I would like to know how many of you have given any mains, or you are just a fresher? Any attempts? Fresher, online students, any attempts have you given, or you are just fresher? Am I audible? Because I don't see the comments. Okay, prelims failed. Okay, fresher. Fine. So, see, this session is for everyone. Okay, whether you have given mains, whether you are fresher, or whether you are planning to attempt in 2025, right? So, the strategy which I'll be discussing, it is going to cover everything. It is not only about the mains or answer writing, but you will see how this strategy which I'm going to discuss will also help you in the prelims, right? So as you can see on the screen, the quotes which is given, that is, your knowledge is your power, but your answers are your voice. In this crucial phase, the right strategy can amplify your success in 2025. Don't wait until it's too late. Join us now and make your attempt count, right? So what exactly this quote talks about? The quotes talks about that knowledge is not, though the knowledge is your power, but your answers are your voice. So basically, the statement says no matter how much knowledge you have, right? But if you fail to express that in your answers, it might not help you to basically clear the exams, right? From last couple of months, I was pretty much involved into the sessions with many toppers, many rankers as well, and especially those students who have given interviews, who have written like 3 4 mains. So the common problem which I have seen is not exactly the issue with the content, right? But when it comes to the application of the content, like applying the knowledge which they have gained in their preparation, that is the main issue, right? Like obviously the suppose anyone who have given 2 mains, 3 mains, so the content will not be an issue, right? Content will not be an issue, but the issue is when it comes to writing the answers. So what are those gray areas which we need to consider before even we start the answer writing? And I will also be discussing what are the various challenges basically we are going to encounter when anyone starts with the answer writing, especially in this phase. Why this phase is very important, that is, we need to understand. The October is about to start, right? And October, November, December, these are the 3 months when we should be devoting most of the time in the answer writing, right? But as we say, when we say the answer writing, what exactly the answer writing is? Just joining the test series and writing the answer is only very small aspect of the answer writing. But when we join any test series or when we join any program, we consider only the answer writing part. We don't think about what could be the possible aspects we need to consider before even we start answer writing. What are those aspects which we need to consider after writing the answers, right? And that is the biggest mistake many students commit. So in this session, trust me, if you are going to understand the importance of everything which I'll be talking about, you can make sure that by Feb or March, your 80% of the syllabus will be done, your notes making will be done, your templates will be done for the answer writing. Okay. And obviously, if by February or March, if your 80% of syllabus is done, including the mains and the prelims, then in 2 months, I think you can easily cope up with the prelims exam. But problem kahan ho rahi hai? How I'll be discussing that in the next slides. Basically, it's everything, all the problems it starts with the planning, right? Like how we are planning our time ahead, like these 3 months in 2024 and after that. So that is what we are going to discuss, right? So, okay. So in this slide, the first slide talks about the trap, like what are the traps in the upcoming months, right? So basically, many students, when they join the test series, I'm going to talk about what exactly are the, the thought process they have in their mind. So the very first thing is, suppose I'm assuming all of you have already completed the foundation course and all, right? For a few of you, maybe it's already going on. But even if you are in the still in the foundation classes, still try to understand this point. Okay. So the very first thing is, many of us have already completed the basic readings. Can I assume that? Like the traditional books, the traditional sources like Lakshmikant, NCRTs, right? All those resources, I think we have already completed that, right? Foundation classes, yes, right? So once our basics are done, then we think, let's join some test series for the answer writing, right? Then we explore many toppers talk. There are so many YouTube videos which talks about the test series, like these are the components, these are the success rate, right? And in that process only, we decide, okay, let's begin with the answer writing before, without even thinking, without even analyzing where exactly do we stand, right? What are those aspects which we need to consider before even we starts with the answer writing, right? So this is exactly what happens, because many videos on the YouTube, they talk about we should be focusing more on the answer writing in these 3 months, right? But no one is talking about the pre-strategy. What are the prerequisites of starting the answer writing, correct? So this is the idea. So if you are going to start blindly with this October, December, like that is the reason I have written the mains, right? It is basically in these 3 months, we have to focus only on the mains, but we don't know what exactly, right? What exactly is missing from here, right? Then in this process, we join any test series for answer writing, right? In this process, what happens, you all know. If you have joined any test series before, you just tell me frankly, how many of you have joined any test series? Has anyone? Yes. Was this the criteria to join the test series? Like after your basics is done, you join the test series? Yes. What was how many tests did you attempt? Because I want you to analyze, or I want you to feel what exactly I'm talking about, right? Usually what happens, many students after completing the basics, they just jump on the mains preparation without knowing what exactly needs to be done, and they join the test series. They start writing, and in this answer writing program, 90%, more than 90% of the student fail to attempt all the tests. They fails to attempt all the tests. Now you should ask yourself why, because I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask those who have joined the test series and why it did it happen, right? Then after that, from prelims again, like from January and from January till May, again we are going to start for the prelims. So hardly how much time are we devoting for the mains? Only 3 months, right? That is exactly what we are doing. Now, do you think in these 3 months we can prepare for the mains? Answer is simply no. Many students basically thinks that after once the prelims is over, they will start for the mains preparation. They will do answer writing, they will start making the notes and everything. But trust me, it is not going to happen, because after the prelims you hardly have, not even in 2025 you will not be having more like 3 months even, right? So in 3 months, in less than 3 months, it is not possible to excel in the answer writing. At the same time, you have to revise the notes, optional is there, essay is there, right? Your language paper is there. There are a lot of things, right? And on the top, anxiety will be there, right? So in those 3 months, just forget about doing everything. So you have to make sure that your preparation is, as far as the mains is concerned, is already done 80% at least before the prelims, right? So, but how many of us really thinks about all these things before we jump on the conclusion that yes, I will do the answer writing? None of us, hardly few students, right? Especially after giving 3 or 4 attempts, then they start analyzing what was their weakness, what was their strength. But by the time you will be realizing it, it will be too late. Already you will be like 2 to 3 years will be wasted, right? So that is the thing. Now, so this is the reason why I written it. It is a trap. If you are thinking like this, it is going to be a trap, 100%, right? Now, next, see, this is what I have written. Have you ever thought of why 90% of the students fail to complete all the tests? These are some reasons. The very first reason is managing pre and mains. The first reason is managing pre and mains. For example, like I have told you, if suppose you have given the prelims in May or June, right? After May and June, what we decide? Let's revise everything, and then we, from October, we will start with the mains answer writing. That is exactly what we do. And for 3 months, we will be devoting time for the mains, and after December or January, we will start with the prelims. So hardly 3 or 4 months you are giving for the mains, but you don't have any notes, you don't have any value addition data, you don't have examples, case studies, right? Without that, how can you start answer writing? So after attempting few tests, basically we drop the idea. Let's forget about it. We will start answer writing after once the prelims is clear. And this vicious cycle goes on again and again every year. So this is the first problem. Second is the PYQ analysis. If you are not doing the PYQ analysis, how are you going to prepare the notes, right? If you are not going through the PYQ, how are you going to understand the demand of the question, right? How you are going to interpret the question? So if the PYQ analysis is absent in your preparation, obviously your notes making will not be done, right? Your notes will not have a value addition or important data, right? That is another problem we face, right? Then have you ever thought of how to basically implement? Like I said in the very beginning, knowledge is not everything. Knowledge is not everything. We should be focusing more on the implementation part, but we never think about it. I will tell you what exactly is the implementation means in the upcoming slides. Okay, because many of us think, that after gathering so much of information and knowledge from various sources, we think the answer writing is very easy. We will be able to write the answers, right? But that is not the case. And then what are the templates for answer writing? Is there any template we can use for the answer writing, for introduction, for conclusion, for your structuring of the entire answer? We never think about all these aspects, and we directly jump on the answer writing. So obviously the result, who all have attempted or who all have joined the test series without giving a second thought about all these aspects, already know the result, right? So this is what you need to understand. So you must give a thought why so many students after joining any mains test series or answer writing program are not feeling comfortable or not being successful, because these are the mistakes, right? So now these are, now if you have to overcome these problems, right? You will face certain challenges, right? The challenges means which I'm going to talk about. For example, in this, before you will go and before even you start answer writing, you might feel some challenges, right? In, for example, incorrect approach for analyzing PYQ. Everyone knows who start preparing for this exam, everyone knows, yes, analysis of previous year's question is important, but we don't know how to do it. How we basically need to analyze the previous year's question, right? Our notes are very lengthy. These are again important challenge. So eventually what happens when we start preparing the notes for the mains, you will find that your notes are very lengthy. And ultimately what happens after making the notes for a few topics, you will drop the idea. Why to make the notes? Let's go to the market and buy some notes. The notes are already there in the market, right? That is what the problem. Then the lack of value addition. If you know there is no value addition data or examples you have in your notes, obviously you will not feel comfortable about the answer writing, right? Then missing template for the introduction and conclusion. I have seen many students, the biggest problem is how to start the answer, right? How to conclude the answer. Then the last point is unable to interpret the demand of the question. So even these are some pre-test challenges. They actually know. Many of you already know about this, I'm sure, right? But still we are ignoring it. I don't know why we are ignoring it, right? Then suppose after going through all these, suppose you are somehow you are able to overcome these challenges. Now you also have to think what are the possible challenges you may face after the answer writing program or after the answer writing. So every test series, you join, there will be an evaluation, right? But in evaluation, what exactly is, after evaluation, what happens? There is, suppose after evaluation, there is one-to-one session with the mentor, right? Usually what happens in those sessions, I have seen people will just pick up the model answer. They will tell you just add these points in your answers. If you would have written like 3 points, they will tell you 2 more points to extra. Here, the problem in these sessions are that they are not changing the way you are thinking, right? So your idea, your thought process will remain same, correct? Then unable to figure out the gaps in the answers. After going through one-to-one session with the mentors, we are not able to figure out what exactly was the gaps in my answer, right? Then not sure how to increase score in the mains. Many students, after rigorous answer writing practice, they are still stuck in a range, right? For example, like 75 to 90 marks, right? Then lack of diverse aspects in the answers. Many times you will get the comment, your answers are not diversified, your points are not diversified, right? Your answers are monotonous, right? Then lack of motivation for the further writing. So have you ever thought of these issues or challenges before you come to a conclusion that yes, I have to join so and so test series? We never think about it. Why are we not thinking about it, right? So this is what we have analyzed in my like 6 years of mentoring experience. I have seen many students, they are struggling, right? They are not applying a critical thinking before they join any test series or answer writing program. But these are the most important challenges you need to consider, right? Before you pick up or before you make your choices, right? So this is exactly what I'm going to explain you in the next slides, right? So I hope this is clear. Now, all these problems you have seen, right? I hope this is clear. Now, process to overcome challenges, right? So, Deepa, okay, thank you. Now, process to overcome challenges. For example, the very first process which we need to follow, right, is the PYQ analysis. When we start with the PYQ analysis, we try to understand, or we understand what is the demand of the question is, right? Your notes making will be very, very effective, because without PYQ analysis, I'm not really sure how someone can understand what are the important areas on which I should have a notes, right? So first process should start with PYQ analysis, right? When you will start analyzing the PYQs, you will know what are all are the important areas. If you want to know what are the step-by-step process to analyze the previous year's question, there is one video available on the Vajiram channel, that the toppers approach to analyze the previous year's questions. You can go and watch that, because that in that video I have covered all the process, like the each and every step. Then once you will get the previous year's questions themes, you will have value addition material content in your notes. You will have good examples, right? And most important thing, you need to understand the notes you will be making after analyzing the previous year's questions are going to be very practical. These notes are going to be very, very practical. How many of you think, how many of you think your notes are not effective, even though you have referred so many resources, so many, you have watched so many YouTube videos? How many of you think your notes are not effective? Even after making the notes, you are not able to use them in the answer writing. Yes, tell me. Anyone? किसी ने नोट्स बनाए भी हैं अभी तक? Anyone? Even the class notes you have? And after that, have you tried to attempt the question, previous year's questions? You did? Mains, pre, both? Mains? Okay, no, previous year's questions I'm talking about. PYQ? How comfortable you was? Uh-huh. Yes, so that is a problem when it comes to the implementation, right? Because in our classrooms are very important, foundation course are very important, just to basically understand the concept in depth. But when it comes to writing the answers, hardly we are able to recall the things, right? Yes, Shiva, you have made the notes, synoptic notes, but not helping. Yes, because the problem is those notes which you might have prepared after watching the YouTube videos or through the PDF available anywhere, those notes might not be very, very practical. But after analyzing the previous year's questions, I will give you the example. I will give you the example of this. Okay, so stay tuned. I will show you how the practical notes making will help you to basically frame a good answer, right? So the first step should be the previous year's question, analysis of the previous year's questions. So what we have to do, the first thing is we have to identify the themes. Based on these themes, we have to make the notes. The process, step by step process, I have already explained in that video. Then the second step should be your answer writing. So once you know you have the notes, once you know you have the value addition points, data and everything, then you can start answer writing, right? After why you need to do the answer writing? Because many students I have seen, they are analyzing the previous year's questions, they are making the notes, but they are not joining any test series, you know. And after the prelims, they plan, they will join some test series and they will start answer writing. But again, that is not going to help you, because if you are not going to start the answer writing through any test series, you will not be able to understand the demand of the question clearly in the exam hall itself, because it needs a rigorous practice. I will tell you that again. In the upcoming slides, I have picked up few questions which I will tell you where exactly students commit the mistake while understanding the demand of the question. Then time management. if you are not going to write the answers in the test series, how would you know whether you are going to complete the paper on time or not, right? And after this, there has to be post test and one-to-one discussion, right? Now, in this phase, in the post test discussion or one-to-one discussion, the mentor will help you, or he should help you to identify your gaps, whether you are able to write the perfect introduction, whether you are able to write the perfect conclusion, whether you are able to structure your answer, right? So how to identify gaps and how to improve marks, this is in this part should cover the improvement scope, right, in the post test discussion or one-to-one discussion. I hope this is clear. So this should be the process we need to follow. But the problem is that so easy? When it comes to the previous year's questions analysis, hardly we know how to do it, right? Then in answer writing, we write 2 or 3 tests and after that we drop the plan. After this, in the post test discussions and all, if you are not going to write the test, on what you are going to discuss with your mentor? So answer writing is again very important. And if you are not writing the answer, how the mentor will help you to identify the mistakes? How he will know whether your notes are good enough or not? Try to understand this, right? So this is the process you need to understand. Okay. Now, see, look at this. This is the separation of power topic. After analyzing the previous year's questions, I have identified these themes. Okay. For example, role of the different organs in the functioning of parliament, concept of separation of power, concept of principle of checks and balances, how both are different, changing power dynamics between the different organs, which organ has emerged as more powerful and why, instances of conflict between the different organs of the government, effectiveness of checks and balances in preventing the abuse of power, effectiveness of the separation of power in Indian context in safeguarding the individual freedoms, impact of ordinance on the legislative process and the spirit of separation of power, role of the Supreme Court of India in keeping a check on the arbitrary power of parliament, and significance of the basic structure doctrine in maintaining the balance between judicial intervention and parliamentary sovereignty. Now just tell me one thing. Do you think if you have the notes prepared on all these themes, do you think if you have a notes prepared on all these themes, you will not be able to attempt any question comes from this topic? This is very holistic and these are very practical themes, right? You have examples, you have Supreme Court judgments. In these themes, we have linked the basic structure doctrine with the separation of power. We have linked the separation of power with the the concept of liberty, right? So these are some important things, right? These are some themes. Now, based on these themes, if you are going to prepare the notes, then you can be confident and you can be sure about it. Yes, you let the UPSC ask anything from these areas, I will be able to attempt the question. But इसके बारे में हम लोग सोच ही नहीं रहे हैं, right? We are just going blindly and we start answer writing, right? So you need to understand what are the prerequisites which you need to follow before even you start writing, and what should be the further course of action which needs to be followed after the answer writing, right? Otherwise, the dropout rate will continue. Like I have said in the very beginning, 90% of the students, they join the test series, but they drop out. They hardly write few tests, and after that, they lose the confidence, right? And they discontinue with the answer writing, and they start planning. Ki, theek hai, chalo, let the prelims be over, and then we will start with the answer writing. So this is the issue. So this is how you should be thinking. But again, the problem is we are already in the October month, right? If I ask you, Start analyzing the previous year's questions. Start preparing the themes of the previous year's questions. Start preparing the templates for the answer writing. Many of you might be confused what exactly are the templates. I'm going to show you what exactly are the templates, right? So just wait for a few minutes. Then if you are going to plan everything, it might be too late. By the time you will be completing all the subjects, it might be too late being a fresher, because the very first problem you will face is understanding the previous year's questions itself. Even if few of you understand the demand of the previous year's questions, you might get confused how to extract the themes. What are the important themes? What are the repetitive themes? Right? So ultimately, your notes making process will get affected. And trust me, students, if you do not have a good notes, it is very difficult to clear the mains. It is very difficult. Every topper who every year you might have seen, every topper talks about, yes, they have some notes, one pager notes, which he or she has referred to clear this exam. What exactly are the one pager note? Right? One pager note is not something which you can prepare in the first phase of the notes making, right? So you have to start thinking about all these process. And the next is, see, I hope so far you know what are the various challenges you might face in the upcoming months. So for the same reason, in the short shot, we have designed this program. It is not only answer writing program. Trust me, this is not only answer writing program. It has lot of things. The first thing starts with the pre-test discussion. In the pre-test discussion, basically what we are doing, we are in the like in the live session, we are discussing what are the various themes from the previous year's questions, right? We help you to identify the various themes from the previous year's questions. We we help you to break down the topics into micro themes, and we help you to in the notes making process, how you can basically precisely make the notes. Because if you are going to start preparing the notes now, the very first question which should come in your mind is, what all important topics are there? What all important aspects are there in the answer, right? Like in any particular topic. For example, in the previous slide, I have shown you separation of power, right? And if suppose I would have given you this topic, right? And if I would have asked you, you have to analyze this topic, what would you have done? You would have just gone through the Lakshmikant or probably your notes, right? But do you think Lakshmikant and your notes will be enough to address all these themes? Answer is no, right? So that is the reason in the pre-test discussions, we are going to help you to identify the themes after breaking down the previous year's questions. And this is how exactly we provide the themes in the pre-test discussions. So your job will be very easy, because we are planning to complete the entire syllabus before the prelims itself by Feb or March through the analysis of previous year's question. So in this short test series, we are going to start with the pre-test discussion, right? In the pre-test discussions, all the themes will be provided to you, all the analysis will be provided to you. Based on these themes, you have to devote some time for a week or so, and you have to prepare the notes. Because once you get these themes, don't you think you can prepare the notes on your own? Yes or no? Once you get the themes, you can prepare the notes on these themes, right? Then the second part in the short program is the answer writing. Once your notes are prepared, you can write the answer, right? Now, answer writing, how it is going to help you, like I have already explained. And the most important part in the short test series is the questions which we are framing, right? There are approximately 40 tests. In all the 40 tests, every single questions are linked with the previous year's question. We are not framing the question randomly. I will show you the screenshot how many questions we have. Like in 2024 mains, the UPSC has asked from our test series. There are many questions. So every question which we are framing have link with the previous year's question. So suppose there are 40 tests, right? So minimum there will be like 18 tests are 18 tests have 10 questions, and after that we have 20 questions, right? So approximately, if suppose there are 500 or 600 questions in the test series, right? You have 500 600 questions, previous year's questions also in the same, because the model answers in which we are the model answers, we also list the previous year's questions, based on which we are framing the questions in the test series. So approximately you will be practicing not less than 1000 questions, right? Then the language of the questions are very similar to the UPSC questions. So after if you are very regular with the test series, you will be very comfortable in understanding the demand of the questions in the UPSC. Then after that we have post test discussion. Trust me, this is the most important part. In the post test discussion, we are not only discussing the model answers. In many places I have seen, they just repeat or they just dictate the model answers. We are not doing that. We are discussing lot of things. Like we are discussing what is the best, like average answer, and what is the best possible answer, right? What is the average introduction, what is the best possible introduction. So basically we are discussing the ideas in the post test discussion. And how it will help you, it will help you to understand the core demand and non core demand of the question. It will also give insight into the structuring of the answer, because many people, they don't give really they don't give importance to the structuring of the answer. But in this we are going to discuss what is the best possible structure for any answer. It will help you to understand the common and uncommons. Common and uncommons means, like, what is the common answer, right, which everyone, almost every student will be writing, and what is that uncommon aspects or component in your answer writing which will make your answer writing more rich. Then after this there is one to one discussion. In one to one discussion, it is a personal level guidance to improve the marks, because few of you might be having issues with the introduction, few of you might face issues in the conclusion, few of you might be confused where exactly to draw the to use the diagram, flow chart and everything. So in one to one discussion, we are going to identify the gaps on the individual basis, right? So this is very important part, and this discussion is not something like we are going to wrap up in 10-15 minutes. Okay, it takes a lot of time. Like I have seen personally, I used to take one to one discussion for an hour or so, right? So in 1 hour I used to discuss around 20 questions, right? So in that discussion I was not discussing the model answer only, but I was discussing more of basically the ideas, like what should be the idea in your mind while framing the answer, how you should be structuring the answer. So these are few components which you are going to get in the sure shot test series. Apart from this, there is going to be workbook. We are also going to provide you the workbook, right? In workbook, basically we have compiled, the workbook is going to have the value addition notes, okay, for every topic. And these notes are basically based on the previous year's questions, right? But these are not the final notes, because these workbook will help you to understand the entire topic, right? So this is the phase 2 notes, you can say, right? Phase 1 notes you will be preparing on your own based on your understanding. These are the phase 2 notes. And after this we are going to share the one pager notes. I will show you the example of one pager notes, right? These one pager notes will help you to understand how to score the marks in the mains and how you can revise any topic quickly. So these are the notes which we will be providing in the test series as well. Okay, So these are some component: pre-test discussion, answer writing, post-test discussion, and one-to-one personalized sessions. I hope this is clear, right? Then after this, then how short test series will help after the prelims? So after the prelims, like I have said, the most important part is that strategic discussions. Strategic discussions are taken by the Sajal sir, where he will be talking about the various templates you can use in the answer writing. He will help you to identify what are the repeated themes in the UPSC mains paper. He will be talking about some keywords to be provided, which you can use in your answers. I'm going to show you in the next slides the examples of all these, right? So these strategic discussions, there are around 10 strategic discussions which will be taken by the Sajal sir. And in this strategic discussions, we are going to cover all the papers, all the subjects, where he will be talking about everything, like the various templates, structuring, the keywords which you have to use, so that after going through this strategic discussions, your time definitely going to be reduced in answer writing. You can directly use these templates for the answer writing. I will show you how. Then one pager notes, I have told you. So I have taken the snapshot of the one pager notes as well, which we will be providing you. Then there will be going to be one-to-one discussion after the prelims itself, right? So even after the prelims, the discussion, one-to-one discussion which we will be taking, is not going to be very general kind of discussion. This discussion are very intense. We will be focusing more on the ideas and the structuring of the answer, because like I said, knowledge is not everything, right? How you are using that knowledge to write the answer is one of the most important aspects. So the problem which I have seen in many answers is, the issue is with the visibility. Suppose you know the answer of any particular question and you write down 15 points. On the other hand, there is another student, he is dividing those 15 points under various subheadings, right? So obviously the visibility of the second answer is more than the first one. So how to bring that visibility, how to make your answers more visible, with that is what we are going to discuss in one-to-one session. I hope this is clear, right? Now see, uh, this is how we are framing the question. This is the philosophy of framing the question. Now, as you can see, this question related to the narco terrorism, right? This question is asked by UPSC, right? Narco terrorism. We have asked the question, and see, PYQ. Every question which we are going to frame will have the previous year's question, right? So there are two previous year's questions. After referring these two previous year's questions, we have framed this question, and you can check the direct question UPSC has asked on the narco terrorism. Similarly, see this question in the ethics paper based on the quotation. Exact same question UPSC has asked in GS paper 4 in 2024 mains, right? So again, we have picked up this question from the previous year's question. For example, see, every work has got passed through hundreds of difficulties before succeeding. Those that preserve will see the light sooner or later. So from this previous year's questions, we have framed the question in our test series, and the direct question has come in the ethics paper also, right? So see, just imagine, you have these questions in the test series. At the same time, you also have the previous year's questions. So you can practice both for your learning, right? It is not only about writing the answer of this question. Why can't you make your notes? Why can't you prepare your strategy, your value addition notes based on these questions also, right? So this is the idea. So we are not framing the questions randomly, okay? Each and every question which we are providing in the test series are basically based on the previous year's questions. I hope this is clear. Similarly, I will show you more questions. See, citizen charter से question आया था. Similarly, we have framed the question in our test series, right? So we have referred the previous year's question. Citizen charter is an ideal instrument of organizational transparency and accountability, but it has its own limitations. From this question, we have framed this question, and even UPSC has asked the question on the citizen charter, right? Similarly, look at this one nation, one election question. It was asked by the UPSC in 2024, right? So these are the questions which these are the questions we are providing in our test series are based on only previous year's questions. I hope this is clear. Now let's look at the templates. These are the templates I was talking about, which will be discussed in the Sajal sir's strategic discussions, right? So look at these templates. For example, for the introduction, right? If the question is based on certain issues or significance, how you can start your introduction using these templates. For example, data on forest, future prospects data, data on any pollution, right? Data of climate change, IPCC ki report you can quote. So these are some templates, ready-made templates which will be given to you, everyone, right? Then similarly, there are second is type 2 template which we can use for the introduction, which is based on the quotation, right? So see this quotation, climate change is not a problem for the future, it is really we face today, and we must take immediate action to mitigate its impact, right? So how many types of introduction we can use in our answer, right? Everything will be provided to you or will be discussed with you in the strategic session. Then similarly, definition based introduction. So किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन में किस टाइप की टेम्पलेट यूज हो रही है, right? That is what we are going to discuss in the strategic sessions, right? After that, see, this is the template for answer writing, right? For example, if the question is based on internal security, right? Now you have, suppose you have these 8 approaches, right? You need to think about these 8 dimensions, and any question you pick up on internal security, you can apply these 8 keywords in answers of these questions. So don't you think if you have these keywords in your mind, it is very easy to remember these keywords, right? To frame the answer. So let the UPSC ask any question on the internal security. If you have these 8 keywords in your answer or 8 dimensions in your mind, you can frame the good answer, right? Similarly, look at this. If the question is on border management, right? All the questions, there are 4 questions. You can approach this security. Security is the keyword, right? This security, at least you can remember, recall this keyword in the exam hall. Security means like security forces, economic development of border areas, cooperation and joint operation, regional integration, intelligence and info sharing, trading points, youth engagement. So now this is very easy to recall because this is exactly what is going to save time in your mains. Otherwise, many students struggle to complete the paper. Why? Because they have to think कि मैं क्या लिखूं आंसर में वहां पे बैठ के, what all keywords I should use, what all terms I should be using for my introduction and conclusion, is there any quote I can use in my answer, right? So if you have all these templates for introduction, for body, for conclusion, it will be very easy to frame a very good answer, and at the same time it's going to be very, very effective, right? I hope this is clear. Now see, this is the micro themes, or you can say one pager notes which we are going to provide you. Now look, is this visible to everyone? Is this visible? One pager notes? Yes? See, this one pager notes are going to help you to score 1 marks at least in every answer, because these one pager notes are not something which you get anywhere. I know there are so many notes available, but by the time you will be giving the mains, or if you would have given the mains already once or twice, you can understand the importance of this one pager notes, right? It has like the types of introduction. You can use significance based introduction, current event based introduction. At the same time, see all the data, right? If you would have attempted the test, what kind of comment do you receive in your answers? Lack of data, lack of value addition, right? यही सब चीजें हैं हम लोग जो comments में देखते हैं. So this is all the data. There are like almost more than 10 points, right? If you are even able to recall 3 points, 3 or 4 data, it is more than enough to make your answers more rich. So this is important, right? We are not going to provide you the generic content in your like in as a notes, right? Because this is the fisheries and aquaculture, right? If I ask you to write down what are the significance of this sector, right? What are the challenges or issues in this sector? Many of you might be knowing this, right? Many of you might be knowing this, and by the time you will be giving the mains, इतना आइडिया डेवलप हो चुका होगा. बट प्रॉब्लम यहां पे है, राइट? सिमिलरली सी दिस बेस्ट practices for sustainable fisheries. Now look at these examples. For example, Thailand's का example है, right? Philippines community based fisheries management. Indonesia uses satellite tracking, right? Then we have Norway develops selective fishing gear to reduce bycatch. So these are some sustainable practices, and this is exactly the value addition point we are providing in the one pager notes. Trust me, lot of efforts has been we have been putting to frame this one pager notes. This will help you to revise your topics very quickly. It will help you to increase the quality of your answers. Otherwise it is very difficult, right? आप लोगों ने toppers के notes भी देखे होंगे. It is only one pager, right? For every topic they have one page notes. But like I said, now if I ask you to prepare one page note, first of all you will not be able to understand what exactly are the one pager note. So the notes which you will be preparing are going to be very lengthy. So I'm not saying you should not prepare. You should start with your own notes. After your notes are done, you can refer the workbook. Workbooks are basically phase 2 of your notes making, and this one pager notes are basically the phase 3 of your notes making, right? So you don't have to look anywhere else for any notes. These notes are more than enough to make your answers rich, right? Now, so this was all about the Sure Shot program. And yes, if you have any doubts, you can fill the form given in the description box and you can come to the office. We are providing one-to-one session for every student. It's now open for everyone. If you have written any answers, you know, in your previous attempts or in any test series, you can come to us. We will discuss. We are going to show you how exactly the mentorship process is going to work. What is the the idea which we will be sharing with each one of you. So this is very important to understand. And we are also offering the scholarship, so you can fill the form to get the scholarship for this program as well. And most importantly, all of you need to understand how crucial is this time. You don't have a liberty now. This is the final phase. Either you have to decide whether you are going to make it for 2025 or not. And this is the last month, because from January, if I ask you to prepare the notes or start with the mains preparation, you will not be doing it, right? So these 3 months are the most crucial months, right? If you are going to be on track in these 3 months, you can then I'm definitely you can ensure that you will be in the list in 2025. However, if you are going to waste these 3 months in random things, right, without any timetable, without any strategy, it will be very difficult to clear all the stages of the exam. I hope this is clear. Anyone has any doubt? Please ask. Any doubt? Online students, any doubt? Okay. So, like I said, if you are in Delhi, you can come to the office. You can show your answers to us. We are going to discuss each and everything. And then we will help you to identify your gaps, what are your strengths, and then you can start make your own strategy according to that feedback. Okay. So, I hope everything is clear. I will end up this session here. Thank you so much for joining me. And for any doubts, please fill the form. Explain the test series details, mains, sure shot. Abhishek, once you fill the form, our team will get back to you. Okay, so please don't forget to fill the form. And if you are in Delhi, you can also visit the office. Though I have already explained the details and everything, there are 40 comprehensive tests. Okay, like 40 comprehensive tests in me. Like in this, there are going to be 18 topic-wise tests. Then we have 12 sectional tests, right? So it's like that, and then we have full length test, which will start after the prelims. Once you clear the prelims, or even due to some reason, if you are not able to clear the prelims, still you can attempt those tests, right? So there are 40 comprehensive tests, and all the component which I have shown you, all these themes, right? These templates, these micro notes, everything, one pager notes, everything will be given to you. These strategic sessions and all, right? And all these components like pre-test discussions, post-test discussions, one-to-one discussions. So everything is there. Okay, so I will end up this session. And again, thank you so much. Best of luck.